yeah, thank you for checking out episode number 55 of Pod of Thunder, the only podcast that breaks down the entire KISS song catalog one track at a time. I'm Andy, and for the first time ever, I am not coming to you from Throat Donut Studios, and I am not joined by Chris and Nick. No, that's right, I'm at home with my wife and my pet cat, and right now, this late Sunday night, I'm piecing together highlights from the 2014 Indianapolis KISS Expo. Yeah, that's right. As promised, Chris, Nick, our friend Bob McLean, and we took the 2.5-hour drive down to Indianapolis, Indiana, for the 17th annual KISS Expo down there. So, man, wow. I was like 3 years old when that started. Yeah, so we had a great time. We met some great people. If we met you for the first time and you're new to the podcast, welcome. That being said, this week's episode, it's going to be a little bit different. Instead of us drawing a KISS song at random and discussing it throughout the episode like we always do, this week's show is it's made up of some of the question and answer sessions with Bruce Kulick and Paul Stanley, which is very cool that we, I'm sure other people probably posted on YouTube, but you can listen to it here. How about that? Get our numbers up. Pass it around. Q&A session. Bruce and Paul Stanley, separate. Nick even got to ask Paul 2 questions. And those are questions that I know have been keeping Nick up at night for years. Since he was a boy, he's just been walking around asking those questions to himself, trying to figure out the answer. What else do we got? Oh, yeah, Nick. He also interviewed a former KISS costume designer, this lady named Maria Contessa, a really nice, really cool woman. She made costumes for KISS from the beginning until Lick It Up, I believe. So that was a cool interview. You can hear that in a few minutes, maybe a little bit longer than a few. And what else do we got here? At the end of the show, we're going to end it today with a Pod of Thunder style debate regarding the 1978 KISS solo albums. So that'll be cool. Trust me, you're going to love it. Does that sound weird? I'm using a different mic. It probably sounds weird. I'm at home, not in the studio. Make it work. Warts and all. Here we go. Let's get the show started. This is the Bruce Kulick Q&A session. A couple choice cuts from about an hour, so, I cut it down quite a bit. But here we go. Bruce Kulick, lead guitar.
Yeah, over here. Pre-reunion era of KISS, yes. I can't remember if it's true. I'll take on your word that it was true. Look, you're in a band, even by the time 92 Revenge tour happened, there's a lot of material to cover. And sometimes it's best to leave out one that seemed to be always there, because maybe it would be fun to finally do She, or Watching You, or 100,000 Years, or I Want You. I used to really get excited when there'd be a new song introduced, even though if it was an old song, And I will say I regretted the fact that they weren't braver enough, Gene and Paul, that is, to, let's try a few more from other ones of the last record we just put out. And a lot of bands struggle with that. You guys are familiar with a band, and then they put out a new record, and maybe they do 1 or 2 songs. I mean, there are some bands that go crazy and only play the new album, and everybody's like, what? You may not have the album. But I always welcomed all the songs, so if it meant Black Diamond couldn't be on the, in the set, so be it. There's plenty of other great songs, to do. That's why I think the convention tour that we did, which is similar to what the current band is doing on the cruises, where, they're playing unplugged or at these meet and greets that they'll do, and someone can just throw out a song, and the next thing you know, they break into it. That's really great. Not many bands have the kind of catalog. I don't even know how many songs. There could be, one of you guys I bet knows, but there's probably 300 KISS songs, maybe more. I don't know. It's really a crazy amount of, and you think about how many years, even the Beatles, they were only had X amount of albums for those years. There wasn't 40 years of history, so a lot of songs to cover. So it's good to mix it up. Right. Yeah, so he wants to know, Paul made certain references. I only really skimmed a lot of the book, but I have already been asked, like, kind of what you're asking, so I'm a little aware that Paul talks about, and it's absolutely true that Eric was going through emotionally not a good time for the band. Got to remember, when I first joined the band, there I am, flying first class over to England to perform. There I am sitting with, usually it was Gene and Paul took that limo, and then we took an equivalent limo, but it's me with Eric. So I'm the new guy. I didn't even know I'd be a member of KISS, okay? I was filling in for Mark St. John. Everybody knows that story, my first tour. And Eric is, again, he loved the fans and he loved performing. But he's complaining about this or that, just politics of the band or this and that. I'm like, stop, you're ruining this for me. I'm having a great time here. You get what I mean? So, and here's was my issue with Eric, and we became really, really close, of course. And I just was always surprised that he didn't understand every group that you join. There's going to be the kind of like creators and the leaders of the band. It needs to be that way, okay? In the Beatles, it was certainly John and Paul, and we know that, and even they used to fight, right? In the same way that Gene and Paul fight, and you know that. I mean, Paul's not too kind to Gene in the book, I understand, right? Okay, but it's okay. They're still brothers attached at the hip, and they know that they wouldn't be or created what they, this huge thing called KISS without each other. It could never have happened without them, okay? But Eric never got that, there are certain things in the pecking order of a band that no matter how much you wish things could be a certain way, meaning, let's say, please record 2 of my songs. Let me sing these songs. Can I do a longer drum solo? Can we do this? Can we do that? That they're going to take the charge and they're going to do it the way they want to do it, okay? I never had an issue with it. I walked in, I had a recording experience. I go in to record Asylum, my first official album with KISS, and like, what do you want? Tell me how you'd like me to play, You like this? It was my job to make them happy. They created, the way I looked at it, was like, they're Coca-Cola, they made the secret formula, okay? I'm just working now for this incredibly, delicious group, okay? Or a drink. And, you remember what happened to the new Coke, right? Right? So I'm not going to reinvent the wheel for them, okay? Tell me what you want from me. You guys know what KISS is about. Now, it's not to say that I didn't have, some creative thoughts to share. I also know that you had to earn that respect, if you get what I mean. And I did. So in time, they both used to come to me. What do you think, Bruce? That was awful. Because that was like mommy and daddy, fighting. And then they ask you, the referee. I didn't like that at all. I was like, I didn't hear it. I don't know. You know what I mean? Because, if I agreed with Gene, and if I agree with Paul, then one of them is not going to like me. You get what I mean? But Eric knew that he couldn't really necessarily exert his creative wishes at times. So I think instead of him accepting that, if you get what I mean, he just withdrew. Okay, he was upset with me too at times because I wasn't going to join that kind of emotional state because I realized how blessed I was to be in such a famous band touring. And for me, it was like, I'm playing guitar in front of thousands of people a night, in arenas. No matter what we did was successful, was fun. And as much as, I understood at times it was frustrating. Why didn't we do more songs from my era? Why didn't we do this? I didn't let that rule me. I didn't let it want to bum me out. You follow what I mean? So, there were a lot of little silly things. We do a video, Gene and Paul are counting how many shots of them are in the video. And then they fight about it. And I knew I got the scraps on even though I'm sure I look good, but then again, I'm not performing like Paul, and, Gene's a ham. He doesn't care if he doesn't have his hand on the bass, you know what I mean? He's hamming it up for the camera because he's a natural that way. These guys are ultimate performers, and Eric Why do you think Eric's drum kit was so big? Look at me, look at me, look at me. You can't even see you, Eric. You're behind such a massive drum kit. Where are you? You remember at the end of the drum solo, he'd stand up on the seat. Otherwise, nobody even knew what that was. It was like some sort of, hairy monster behind the drums. They occasionally see the hair dropping. But, there's something special about, no matter the fact that you guys didn't know that, Eric would go out and sign everything for the fans, and he used to answer their emails. Well, no, I'm sorry. Back then it was fan letters. Then he'd even call some of them. It was crazy. He was so very dedicated to his fans in a wonderful way. I have never seen such affection that Eric would give back to the fans. And that was really ironic because internally he's like not always happy with being the drummer of KISS because of things that he just doesn't want to figure out as the best way to handle it. So, but then to the fans, he's probably the most giving. You see what I mean? And it was a real blessing that I did the Rockology stuff with him, so I was able to put out some things after his death, But it was hard for Paul to understand because some of that was personal between the two of them. Because you think about it, if you're the front man of the band and your drummer's kind of unhappily listening to your direction, how does that make Paul? You know what I mean? Come on. I mean, it would get to that point where I'd know, every drummer in New York or anywhere in the world would want his job. Not that many of them would be right for it. It takes a very specific kind of person. Very hard to even Eric Singer wound up auditioning, and he was kind of vetted for the gig, somewhat from Paul's solo tour in '89. But it wasn't easy. There were a lot of really good drummers, just not right for the band. So Eric had this golden opportunity, which, as far as you guys should know, he did everything he should have done, and he did it. But sometimes he wasn't happy. And then Paul could share that in the book because Paul knew, wait a minute, we're having a great time here, aren't we? Well, not always. And I'll have to admit, there were times I was frustrated, but I never wanted to let it take away the fact that I was really blessed to be a part of such a big band. And I would never realize back then, I've been talking about this recently, that those 12 years, that it would bring me to this stage in front of all you terrific people sharing my experiences, to think how important that was, what I was doing from a day-to-day basis, from a gig to gig, from an album to album, to a song-to-song basis, how valuable that would be in my future and would mean something valuable to all of you, and then for you to pass it on to your children, etc., blows my mind, you know what I mean? So I'm really glad that I always did, I was respectful of every day that back then. As much as sometimes I was frustrated too, but I didn't wear it on my sleeve, as we say, to make it too apparent, and I tried to enjoy it and do the best job I could. So, but Eric's always going to be loved, and that's the way he should be, and we all got to say our piece, when we lost him, and everybody knew, I know Paul gets into that in the book too, and it was like, wow, because I do know Paul was very affected by it. We all were. We were devastated by losing a family member, It was crazy, really, really sad. But I'm so glad there's a wonderful table there with a lot of, the family's things regarding Eric Carr, and they're doing a fine job of keeping the Eric Carr legacy going. It's wonderful, wonderful.
How great was that? Wow. Well, Nick and Bob, they got the chance to meet Bruce, and they give us some insight on the diet of a guitar hero. Let's go ahead and listen in. So, this is Andy. I apologize in advance for the audio, but Nick and Bob, I'm here with Nick and Bob right now. You know Bob from episode whatever of the podcast where he joined us. But anyway, Bob, these guys just met Bruce Kulick. Did you guys get anything autographed?
I got a Hide Your Heart single signed by him.
And a vinyl single of Hide Your Heart?
Yes, vinyl.
What did he?
Some juice from his toothpick on there. He said he had chicken fingers stuck in his teeth.
I don't know if he had them or he was ordering more.
No, he had some stuck in his teeth. That's why he had the toothpick. So.
Okay. Chicken fingers and Sprite is what Bruce.
Toothpick before you.
That's just in case. People, we've been criticized in the past on our podcast for not getting into great detail about the band. Well, we can tell you it's a scoop, exclusive scoop. Bruce Kulick had chicken fingers and Sprite for lunch today.
So that's like the diet of champions?
Yeah, I mean, well, if you want to get better at guitar, all you scrubs out there, that's what you should be eating.
Did he say anything? They're clapping for your comment, Nick.
Yeah, well, Nick, Pot of Thunder, every Monday.
Uh-oh, they spotted Dr. Nick. Bob, did he say anything about your vinyl, Hide Your Heart? Did he make a comment about it?
There was no comment.
He didn't give a shit. He just
No, he was very cool, though. He was just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
He wasn't like Eric Singer from 3 years ago.
Like Eric Singer.
Total dick.
Or Ric Flair.
Or Ric Flair.
Bruce is always a class act. Everybody knows that.
Nick, what did you get signed?
I got the Kissology 3 bonus disc, the 94 Monsters of Rock. He signed the DVD for me.
The actual disc or the little case?
Yeah, because I had coffee or blood stains on the actual cover.
What a
so
creep.
I was like, can you sign the disc? He's like, yeah, it'll be fine. I said, okay. Gave him a Pot of Thunder guitar pick, 2 of them.
What did he say to that?
He said yes.
He's out of toothpicks. He said he's going to use that next.
Yeah.
Hey,
Fingers out of his teeth.
it probably works pretty
He
well.
said, just in case if there's a power outage here, I'll be able to see where I'm going, because those glow in the dark.
Yeah. Did you tell him what it was, or you just said here?
Yeah, I said it's a podcast, and they said the other 2 hard-ons that do it with me are going to give me a hard time. I don't give you a pick. So
Yeah, it's kind of a high-pressure situation. I probably would have wimped out and just put it in my pocket and said I
he was
gave
really
it to him.
nice about it. And Bob made the comment, yeah, because he doesn't have enough guitar picks, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. And he took him, though. He was very cool.
That's cool.
Side note, if any Pot of Thunder listeners want a guitar pick and aren't here today, I'm sure there'll be... How many picks did you give him? 2?
I gave him 2, yeah.
There'll probably be 2 guitar picks on Bruce Kulick's table tomorrow for Pot of Thunder.
Or there might be 2 guitar picks in the nearest trash can by Bruce Kulick's table today, immediately.
I plan on sweeping the area and just gathering up all the leftovers at the end of the night.
Yeah, that's kind of... I think we did that last year with the remaining little postcard handbills that we had. All right.
So we should go interview some other people.
Yeah, we should.
We should.
Let's do it.
Let's get out of the way here.
All right.
Okay. So we're here with Maria Contessa. And what year did you start designing the costumes?
End of 1972.
1972. So that was the beginning of KISS, yeah, from the very beginning. And when they came in with their ideas, did you think any of it was a little like that it was going to be too outrageous looking?
No, because I study fashion, mostly costume designing. And every time I would go to a store to show my line, they always thought was too theatrical.
Oh, so it was perfect for KISS.
Was perfect.
Yeah. Over the years, did they come in with any ideas that just weren't working? That you did some maybe prototypes for, and then they said, well, we kind of decided we don't want to do that idea now. It was like rejected ideas that they changed their minds.
Not really,
No?
because we worked very close together, make sure that we would fit. I would make it fit. That was it. And
Yeah.
I had to make it fit.
But they didn't have any like, oh, we're going to try something in a different color. And did they have you make up a lot of different versions of it?
Not really.
No, it was the same sort of. They said we want this color, and that's
the
it.
idea, we worked together with the idea.
Yeah.
Would be, more open or closer, lower, but the idea was the same,
Okay.
just to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you work on their famous boots at all, or was it everything else except for the boots?
No, I didn't do
The boots were something else.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was an Italian who designed the boots.
And did the boots get made beforehand, or were your costumes made and then they made the boots to match the costumes?
I was like together.
It was they kind of had it drawn up and
Right.
Okay.
Well, it was done together. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. And then you did the costumes after they removed all the face paint, or for a little while.
A little while. I moved to Florida in 89.
Okay.
And even before I moved, if I wouldn't be creating all the costumes, like for a CD, I was always involved. I'll call Maria. If it doesn't work, Maria make it work. So I was always present.
And I had. Oh, I'm sorry.
No matter if it was not my idea, it was somebody else, but I was always involved.
And I had heard a story. Someone had told me that that you had old costumes that they wore on stage and that they had brought back to you that were worn out, or they had something where they didn't need they needed a replacement or something like that, and that you just kind of had them laying around like, no big deal, I have their old clothes,
Yeah, it did happen like that. Yeah. Well, they were, new costumes, so you can have it, or make it anew, make with a different fabrics, change few things. So I had some costumes left. Did you realize that you had things maybe sitting in the attic or wherever you had them that a lot of sort of obsessed fans would pay a lot of money for? I never thought about it. I wish I did. I would be making a lot of money now.
Well, but now, so you did KISS, and that's pretty incredible. Is there anything, because you said you did a lot of theatrical looking clothing and outfits, is there anything that you would like to do? Is there any, maybe like a stage play, or is there a movie or something that you wish that you could have had the chance to do the outfits for?
No, I did that. I did Judas Priest, Judas Priest. We did some for Billy Idol, and all the bands managed by Alcoin. We did it. Yeah.
So you had to deal with a coin.
Okay. And also, Paul had his own band. I don't remember the name, but we did the costumes for him.
Was there ever a movie or a stage production, like a play or something like that you got into?
No, I did the costumes for the movie, for KISS movie.
Oh, I see.
What's the name of the movie?
Was it Exposed in the 1980s?
Yes. I did all the costumes.
And did you do the one where they had the makeup still? It's the Phantom. KISS meets the Phantom. Yeah, it was that one.
Robes.
Oh yes, okay.
Red robes.
On my shirt I sort of have that. Yeah.
Yes, I did that.
That's very impressive work. Was there ever any sort of like a band that came in that?
No, this was not the movie.
You did. This was before that, correct? Or the one you did was before this one, correct?
It was before this one. I don't know the name.
Did you do the one where when they had the new drummer and he had the fox outfit? Did they come to you for that also?
No. It was before that.
It was before that. Okay.
Well, the very first movie, they were not even that famous yet, but they did have money to pay because I had to make 2 sets, one for the band and one for the understudies.
And like sort of the people doing the stunts and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Oh no, thank you for talking. I just figured it's getting late. I would like to talk to you, so thank you very much. Thank you for your time. You were wonderful. Thank you.
Very cool. So Paul Stanley was on stage, and he was answering questions from fans for about 90 minutes, maybe even a little bit longer. It's an hour and 40 minutes, I would say. That's so long. I expected him to be up there for like a half hour, rush off stage, sign a few books, and get the hell out of there. But no, he was pretty much answering any question anybody had. So very cool. I went through the questions. I grabbed a few good ones. Here you go.
92 to 97, you guys did the Revenge area, and then you turned around and got into the Carnival of Souls. Why do you guys not perform any of the Carnival of Souls music?
Probably because I don't like it. It wasn't an album I was really fond of. It wasn't an album that I really was really keen on making. And one of the things that happens with a partnership is you kind of let each other kind of take over from time to time. That was really something Gene wanted to do. Are you listening? So that was something that Gene wanted to do. I quite honestly didn't understand it because I thought we were a great KISS, but we weren't a great Metallica. We weren't a great, we weren't a grunge band. And for guys who, I don't think it's any secret, we're pretty well off. So to be singing about being unhappy and how tough life is. It just wasn't my thing. So those of you that like that album, you're wrong. No, those of you that like that album, great. That's terrific. Whenever we've done anything, we've always tried to do our best. And whether or not I agreed with it, I thought my songs were really good, but it's just not an album that I really connect with. Over there.
As a huge rock star like you are, but when you guys were coming up young and opening for people, who were you starstruck by? Maybe I don't know who, but maybe a rock star or actor or even some young artist coming up and you're like, man, this is Eddie Van Halen or whatever. I was just curious who you were starstruck by.
Pretty much, I guess, the Beatles and Led Zeppelin. And who else was I starstruck by? Those are the first ones that come to mind. Zeppelin wrote the book, and all of us are just trying to write a page. Those guys, they said it all. So to this day, the guys in Zeppelin are really it. For me, Jimmy Page, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, he thinks you're great, man.
He's got taste. Who's got the mic?
Hi, Paul. How you doing?
Good.
I want you to solve this silly riddle that's been going on between fans. Did Vinnie Vincent save Kiss?
Is that a joke? Is there a punchline? Look, there's no getting around the fact that Vinny was a very talented guy and contributed to the band. And going beyond that would not be wise.
Got another one over here.
No, you can't have a hug.
Thanks anyway. My name is Mark. I'm curious, on Kiss Cruise 4, will Kiss actually be performing in their new spiffy John Varvatos, am I pronouncing that right? Dress to Kill suits?
So I hear.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
The coolest thing about the cruise is we just get a chance to get crazy and spend time with the most diehard of diehard fans. So it's a time for us to kind of experiment and do things that we don't get a chance to do normally. So that's the plan as I see it.
Hey, Paul. In the 80s, when Gene was busy making subpar movies and...
You said it.
You said it, too, in your book. And you're going through lead guitars from Vinny to Mark to Bruce, and you were left to basically produce those albums, Animalize, Asylum, Crazy Nights. What kept you going to say, you know what, I'm going to keep doing this and keep calling it Kiss, as opposed to saying, you know what, screw these and screw these guys, I'm going to go make my Paul Stanley band? What kept you going to do that?
I love Kiss, and I always think of Kiss as my band, and I always want the band, I want the guys in the band to think of it as their band. But if everybody else leaves, I'm not going anywhere. This is my band, and if you feel the same way, then you'll stay. But if you don't, fair or unfair, I'll do your work and mine because the band means that much to me.
Thank you for staying.
Thank you.
Keeping it going.
Over here on the right.
How you doing, Paul?
Good.
I have two questions for you, actually. The first question is the band has in the past revisited old costumes. Is there any chance that you'll bring the Dynasty costumes back? And my second question is how come Kiss has never appeared on Saturday Night Live, especially with you guys being a New York band? And I have something also that I would like to read to you after you answer those two questions.
Okay. First question was the Dynasty outfits. The Dynasty outfits to me were like something that we looks like we pulled out a Cher's closet. You know, they were a symptom of what was wrong with the band at that point. I think it was a big misstep, and I'm not apologizing for it. It got us to where we are, but you know, I look at some of those photos, and it's just like, what were we thinking? You know, we took this ballsy meat and potatoes rock band and suddenly dressed it up like Vegas showgirls. You know, and didn't. It's not some place I want to go back to. You know, so. Then your other question was,
why KISS hasn't ever appeared on
Saturday Night Live? Because they don't like us. Lorne Michaels and the people. Well, it's Lorne's show. They've never liked us. They're part of. They're kind of part of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame mentality, and that's pretty much it. They don't like us. Maybe at some point we'll be on, but. It's pretty, you know, it's astounding in the same way that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, when it was astounding that we weren't in there. When you can ignore somebody for that long, it takes a lot of willpower and a lot of effort to ignore somebody. So, you know, we're fine with or without them. But if we went on there, you bet we'd blow shit up. And we'd be playing live.
And here's the big moment. We can officially say on episode 55, one of the guys from Pot of Thunder got to interview Paul Stanley. Here is Nick asking Paul 2 questions right here.
Got another one in the back here.
Hi, Paul. I'm over here.
Hey, I see you there.
Right in the middle. I have a 2-part question. It's regarding 2 different KISS songs. The first one is regarding I Love It Loud. I've noticed that it seems like you guys never play the full second verse of that song, and I was just wondering, it was an argument with my friends, is there a real reason for that? And then the second question has to do with Hide Your Heart. And can you comment on how it came to be where Ace Frehley also recorded that song and released it around the same time as KISS?
Sure. Love It Loud just seems to work better with a shortened second chorus. That's the only reason we've done it like that since we started doing it. In the beginning, we tried it the other way, and some songs just sound a little better, tightened up a bit. So that's why we did that. Hide Your Heart, I had finished writing, and it was handed into a publishing company that was handling my songs at the time. So it was not initially going to be a KISS song because Ron Nevison, who was producing Crazy Nights, passed on it and didn't want to put it on the album. So at that point, the publishers sent it out to all different artists. And there was a Robin Beck, there was a female vocalist, I think Bonnie Tyler did it, and Ace did it, and I think the Outlaws did it. So Molly Hatchet, the Outlaws. Anyway, so that's how everybody wound up recording it, and by that point we were working on an album, and we decided let's do it. So all these versions came out at the same time.
Man, how great is Paul Stanley? I think I say it every episode, but it's true. And now I know the question on everybody's mind. Here we go. What piece of KISS merchandise did Chris buy this year at the Expo? Because I think last year he said he bought an ashtray that he keeps guitar picks in. It's been bothering everybody. There's been a lot of speculation online. I have that answer for you. Here we go. All right, Chris, we've been at the Indianapolis KISS Expo for a few hours. What are your impressions so far? What stood out?
Much nicer hotel, for starters.
Without question. Last year was more like a Days Inn conference room compared to this. This is a little bit more upscale.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Some nice amenities, nice facility. Definitely a step up. I guess they up their game when Paul's involved, so it's a good thing.
They have to put their best foot forward when the Star Child signed on. Any of the attractions or guests jump out at you? Being A+, number one?
Not at the moment.
What about merchandise-wise? Last year you mentioned on the show that you bought an ashtray that you keep your guitar picks in. Anything this year?
Well, I got a hotter than hell onesie for a coworker who's expecting a child in a couple of weeks, and kind of have my eye on a trucker hat, but I need another hat like I need a hole in the head, so I don't know if I'm going to take that plunge yet.
What did that trucker hat look like?
Like a trucker hat.
Just the classic KISS logo on it?
Yeah,
or?
it had like a KISS patch on it. It says some like sight and sound spectacle tonight. It's kind of cool.
Sounds cool. And that coworker you bought the onesie for, is he or she a KISS fan?
She is not, nor is her wife.
Oh, damn.
Yes, they are a...
salacious. No, I don't want to say salacious, but I'll say it's a progressive couple.
I was just about to say they're a progressive couple of women.
So you
and
condone that?
They're having their second child, and one of them carried the first one, the other one's carrying this one.
That's incredibly convenient.
Yeah, it's a new world. It's 2014.
Brave new world.
It's how things go nowadays.
Yeah, it's like the Michael Sam draft induction.
Right, exactly.
It's just, that's the way of the world now. It's a new world. All right. And finally, we got the chance to meet two Pod of Thunder listeners who correct all of our errors every week on Facebook after we post the show on Monday. Dave Burke and Kelly Lincoln. It was really great to meet those guys. During this clip, at the end of it, we get the solo album discussion started, and then Nick, Chris, Bob, and I continue that discussion on the car ride home. And that's where we pick the best song from each of the 4 1978 solo albums, in our opinion, and discuss a little bit, maybe argue a little bit. But before I play this last chunk of the show, I want to thank you for listening. I know this show was a little odd if you're familiar with our normal format, but I hope it was still entertaining in some way. Of course, we'll be back next Monday with a random KISS song to break down. How about that? You know what? I'm not going back and re-recording it. I don't care. I'm not correcting anything. It's getting late. It's almost my bedtime Sunday night. And we will be breaking down a song next Monday, whatever that means. So thank you very much, and here we go. All right, so for the first time on the podcast after 50 however many weeks, finally, Dave and Kelly live on the podcast. They've participated so much on Facebook, and now we get to meet them in person, have a talk with them. You guys have a booth here this year. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. We've sold our fair share of KISS memorabilia.
What's like the most unique KISS thing that you have here today?
What's the most unique KISS thing we have here today? Probably the KISS condom, I would say, is our most unique item, which unfortunately has not sold. So there's a lot of unprotected
the night is still
sex,
young.
A lot of unprotected sex going on in Indianapolis tonight.
So, wait a minute. Live during the podcast. It just sold.
The sale is taking place as we speak.
The KISS condom has just sold as we speak.
It is over 20 years old, so it'll probably break if you go to put it on.
Oh, really? It's the expiration date has expired?
Yeah, those were from the revenge tour, so actually a buddy of mine went to use those once and said they're really small, and he snapped it in half before he even got it on.
I think he might have been flirting with you.
Right.
All right, so another KISS.
Actually, our most unique item is the Pod of Thunder guitar picks.
That's right.
Oh, you know.
Ones of a kind.
Ones of a kind, you're right. Pod of Thunder, glow in the dark. You just can't.
I was not aware of that.
They are. You'll see at night.
You should hand them out with the condoms. That way you can see what you're doing in the dark.
It goes together. It goes hand in hand.
Has a gig next week, so maybe I'll be playing with the Pot of Thunder glow in the dark pick.
That would be a dream come true for us. I would like that. I'd be honored to hear
I'll
that.
make that happen.
All right. Another KISS question. Since you guys have a lot of memorabilia, what's an item that is like too good to like you wouldn't part with? What's like a personal collection? Yeah, that's like I'm keeping this no matter what forever.
I put a lot of thought into that walking around my house. Like, if my house is on fire, what's the one thing I'm going to grab? I'm going to either go with, I have an Eric Carr drumstick, or I got a scrapbook that's got probably almost all the magazine clippings from the 70s.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. And did you make that or you bought that?
Nope, I just bought it.
What about you? What's Dave's?
My house burning down is I got Kiss Alive 2 for my first communion gift from my parents. And it's one of the misprinted editions, and I was able over the years to get it signed by all 4 original members. So that is my creme de la creme.
That's a pretty good one. Yeah, okay. All right, so
that, the hooligan blackjack would be right behind that.
the hooligan blackjack that was made famous on Facebook, famous Photoshop by you. All right, so we're going to have a debate. I'm going to announce it now. That's going to go on in the car, but I'm going to give you guys the option to kick it off. The debate in the car ride home is going to be name the best song from each of the 4 solo albums. So, who wants to go first, Dave or Kelly? Kelly?
I'll go first. You want just each album? You want to go right down, or you just want Paul, Ace?
Let's do Paul. Let's do it that way. Okay. Paul. Yeah. So, we'll start with Paul. Best song from the Paul Stanley solo album, according to Kelly.
I'm going, Wouldn't You Like to Know Me?
That is a good one. I'm going Tonight You Belong to Me.
Okay. We don't have a match so far, so there's a debate there. There's some tension. All right, how about Ace?
Rip It Out.
Rip It Out.
That was a tough one. I was going to go with Rip It Out, but I'm going with What's on Your Mind.
Oh, I do like that.
You know, What's on Your Mind, I don't know if it still says it, but on Facebook it used to say What's on Your Mind for when you put a status update, and it would always make me think of that song.
I love that song.
Yeah. All right, so how about Gene?
See You Tonight.
See You Tonight.
I'm actually going with See You Tonight as well.
We have a match, our first match. All right. Do you prefer that version versus the, what's the other version?
See You in Your Dreams is the one you're
thinking.
thinking.
See You, yeah, sorry. See You Tonight. Yes. Okay, and now the one, probably the toughest one to pick your best, the toughest solo album to pick a best song from. Peter Criss, what do you think, Kelly?
I have to go most tolerable song because I don't like the album at all, and I guess I would go with Tossin' and Turnin' if I had to pick one.
If I'm twisting your arm, it's tossing and turning. Okay.
Twisting and turning his arm.
Twisting and turning, yeah.
All right.
And I'm in the minority, but I actually like Peter's solo album, but I Can't Stop the Rain is probably my favorite one.
I would not expect that to be an answer, so that's a unique one. I Can't Stop the Rain. Now, I wonder if we're going to have any matches between me, Nick, Chris, and Bob on the ride home.
Dying to find out.
It's going to be a 4-way Texas strap match.
It is. It's going to be pure chaos. But all right, guys, thanks for your answers. Thanks for your time. Nice finally meeting you. Yeah, definitely. We'll have to figure out a way to patch you in live sometime. But all right, Pot of Thunder. Whatever. I never remember the number. 55. 54. The podcast. All right. Thanks, guys. All right, so we're on our ride home from the 2014 Indianapolis KISS Expo, Pot of Thunder, coming to you live from Nick's Nissan. What is this?
Quest.
Nissan Quest. So it's the mobile Throat Donut studio via Nissan Quest. And
we actually changed the nameplate to Nissan Breast.
So that's what we've got going on, the Nissan Breast. So, you know, as always, it's me, Nick, Chris, and we have Bob with us today. And, man, this audio sounds rough coming through the headphones, but you're just going to have to deal with it. Our debate for the ride home, and you can play along on Facebook, is the best song from each of the 4 solo albums. So,
1978.
1978, that's correct. KISS solo albums. I'm going to go first, and I'm going to start with Paul Stanley's solo album. I'm going to say my favorite song from that album is It's All Right. Nick, what's yours?
Goodbye.
Really? The closing track is your favorite?
Yep, that's the guy.
That's the one. I wouldn't have guessed that. So were you extra excited when he played that at the House of Blues in 06 at the One Live KISS?
I was, and I think that might have had an impact on it. Kind of, its stock was raised because he played it at that show.
Cool. Chris, favorite song from the Paul Stanley solo album?
I'm not super familiar with it, so you're going to have to help me out. Is Tonight You Belong to Me on there?
Yeah.
Okay, then that's it for me, because I have the One Live KISS live album that still kicking myself for missing that show, and I was invited to it by you guys, but that is would have to be my favorite, and I would be surprised if, as we delve into the solo album over the course of this podcast, if I would hear a song that I like more. It's got the kind of lyrical content I like, and the sort of build and dynamics that I think are the mark of a good song, so I'm going to go with that.
All right, and the last guy, Bob. Bob, what's your favorite from the Paul Stanley solo album?
I'm also going with Tonight You Belong to Me. Everything Chris said is right on.
All right, there you go. There you have it. We have all our votes in, and I don't think...
What did you vote for, Andy?
It's All Right.
Okay.
I like that one.
What was the reasoning?
I don't know. It's kind of dirty. It's all right if you want me. And it's the song that says, you got to take what you can, girl. It's just a one-night stand. He's letting her know right up front, it's all right if you want me. It's all right if you need me.
Might have to change my vote a little later on down the line.
Yeah, I mean, lyrically, you can't beat it. Yeah.
It's a good song.
Yep. All right. Okay, so second album, Ace Frehley. I'm going to go with, this is tough because I like quite a few. I remember Dave Burke said, "What's on your mind?" But I'm going to go with Speeding Back to My Baby. Nick, what's your favorite?
This is an album where I like every song almost equally. It's a classic album. It's a must-have album. Even though it's the one that everybody knows, it's not really much of a surprise. I probably would say Rip It Out. It just gets everything going. It's just a scorcher, as I've been told.
All right, Chris, Ace Frehley.
Hard to pick one because they're all good, but I'm going to go against the grain, and I'm going to say I'm in Need of Love. It's the chorus of it is just really was one that grabbed me the first time I heard it, and so I'm going to go with that one.
Fair enough. You know, that the way you say that, the chorus grabbed you, I could picture that. In need of me. It just sounds like something I could hear you repeating. Bob, what's your favorite? Ace Frehley.
I'm going with Chris, Rip It Out.
Chris didn't say that. That was
I'm
Nick.
sorry, Nick. I forget, they look the same. Rip It Out.
You're sitting next to one and one's driving. Totally different. But all right, Rip It Out.
Good opening song.
Good opening song. Rip It Out. That's what you're doing to that package of peanut M&Ms right now. Peanut M&Ms have a unique smell. I don't.
Going in and coming out.
Going in and coming out. Yeah. So, how about Gene Simmons? Gene Simmons solo album. I'm gonna say Radioactive, but I will make a comment that Gene's solo album starts off like it's gonna be this crazy, demonic. You know, I mean, it matches his character, but like it's going to be some Black Sabbath sounding album. But then Radioactive's kind of like a poppy rock, radio active song, if you will, radio friendly song. So that kind of doesn't go together, but I still like it. Radioactive. Nick, favorite?
I'm going with a weird one. I don't like Gene's solo album very much, but if I had to pick a favorite song, a song where someone told me you can listen to one song and one song only off of it right now, I would go with Man of a Thousand Faces.
Why?
I don't know. It's just an interesting song. It's not a rocker. It's I guess it's kind of got his, his Beatles influence a little bit, and I don't know. It's just an interesting song. And last time I remember listening to the album, that was the song that I kind of had in my head, and I don't know.
Fair enough. Can't argue that. Chris, what's your favorite from Gene's solo album?
I have literally never heard a track off it other than that duel thing we did a few episodes ago, and I'm not voting for that. So just to be an asshole, I'm going to say When You Wish Upon a Star.
All right. Well, he does get choked up in that, and I remember in his 2001 autobiography, he said he was so overcome with emotion about how when he came to America and he had nothing, he watched, was it Jiminy Cricket sing that in a movie? And then when he was singing it, he realized what?
No, go ahead.
Oh, Nick pointed at something.
I wanted the fort.
Okay. But he said when he was recording it, he was so overcome with all that he's accomplished and all the riches and joys he's gotten in his life that he started crying on the track, and they left it on to have the pure emotion in there.
I thought he got emotional about when he realized that the Beatles wouldn't be showing up to appear on the album. But, either way, there's real emotion there. So
it makes me wonder if it's really was 100% emotion. I guess he's not really known to be a great actor, so it probably is. It reminds me of, I think it came out the year afterwards, the Michael Jackson song She's Out of My Life, where he started to do the exact same thing at the end of the song.
Who was he crying about in that song?
Just whoever the female point of interest was.
All right, no jokes there. We're going to pass on the pedophilia joke. Okay, and Bob,
well,
Gene
I'm
Simmons.
start by saying Gene is a great actor because his role in Trick or Treat is phenomenal.
He's a radio DJ in Trick or Treat, right?
He is. He's a radio DJ, yeah. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but...
I like him in Runaway when he shoots Kirstie Alley. That's a cold-hearted villain. He just, that's like the love interest of Tom Selleck, and he just shoots her to death, and that's the end of her. It's like usually, he would shoot at her or harm her. No, he just kills her.
Like Chris, I'm not too familiar with Gene's solo record, but I am familiar with the song Radioactive, and that is a good opening song, so I will... what's a good song in general, but great opener. I'm going with Radioactive.
Cool. Bob and I have a match, Radioactive. So the last one, and I said this earlier when we were talking to Kelly and Dave, I think this is the toughest one to pick a favorite from because people have such polarizing opinions of this. A lot of people say none of it's good. I'm not going to say that, but if I have to pick one from Peter Criss's solo album, I'm going to go ahead and do it. That's the kind of sugar Papa likes is my number one. Nick, what's your favorite?
Well, I'd like to sort of politely contest your statement that, for me at least, picking one off of Ace's album was probably the most difficult because it's sort of the opposite, where, like, Gene's, I don't like it, and Peter's, I don't really like it that much either. So it's kind of easy to pick out one that I can live with in the bunch, but Ace's, everything is really, really good, so I found it kind of difficult, but I'm going to ditto yours. I do like that's the kind of sugar Papa likes.
That's the kind of sugar the Jones boys like. Chris, favorite from Peter Criss's solo album?
Give me a minute while I Google it and look at the song list.
All right, well, in the meantime, I'm going to say that last year, Peter Criss's solo album is an album I didn't really enjoy that much, but for some reason last summer, driving around at night, like with the windows down, cranking the Peter Criss solo album, like by myself late, it has to be hot and it has to be dark out, and then you crank that album and it's like a great match.
And you have to be by yourself because I don't know if anybody else would be riding with you while you're doing that.
Exactly right. I remember I drove Chris home from Pot of Thunder once and we listened to that. same kind of situation, hot summer night. I don't know if he was into it. Well, maybe that drive had an effect on his favorite song that he's referencing at the moment. I don't know.
I always have it up, Chris.
Bob has a rod in the back
I'm
seat.
gonna go with for
Bob. We're skipping Chris, going to Bob.
I'm gonna go with me. My favorite song off Peter Criss solo record is "I Can't Stop the Rain." I'm gonna tell you why it's my favorite song. It's my favorite song because it's the last song, and Peter Criss is a bitch, so that means the record is done. So I hate every song on there, and I hate Peter Criss.
Damn, do you hate him even when he sings lead on other Kiss songs?
His voice is good. I like his voice, but his whole personality ruins everything for me.
You'd rather not know anything about him. You'd rather just have him be in the background, be quiet, do his job, and not pipe up.
He could pipe up all he wants. He shouldn't just make it the Peter Criss show every time he talks. Being in a band, I know this is the wrong band to, say that everyone should kind of take their own equal part and not be center stage, but Peter just seems to always make it about him whenever he talks, which turns me off to him.
And you've spent a lot of time in bands that seems to strike a chord with you, strike a nerve maybe. Have you had guys like that in your bands that have behaved that way?
Not really. I've had more the opposite, where they're non-existent and don't put any input or don't want to be seen or anything else like that.
So how would you react if you had a Peter Criss type versus what you've been used to?
I would not be in a band with a Peter Criss type, especially since he really wasn't that good of a drummer. But yeah, good voice, terrible drums. I shouldn't say terrible, not good drumming. I would say mediocre at best, but that's about it.
All right, and then Chris, the final vote on the Peter Criss solo album.
That's what I was looking for on Google, was the last song, and but not for the same reasons Bob mentioned. I do recall that I Can't Stop the Rain, the last cut. I remember that being kind of a haunting and another song that displayed some true emotion. So I'm going with that one.
So you're going with it for genuine reasons.
Yeah, yes I am, and I'm going to call into question Bob's blasting of Peter's drumming. I can't get on board with that.
It also did invoke emotion in me. It was relief when the record was done.
Damn. We're driving in the mobile Throat Donut studio, so we don't have access to the Motley Crue bomb sound. But if we did, we would have dropped it just now. We could have the engineer do that in post. Go ahead and play the uncensored version. All right, so that's it.
We come off with the remix.
Yeah. That's it. Go ahead and join us on Facebook. Let's get that conversation started. I'd like to debate that with some people. The toughest one for me was picking the Paul Stanley song. There are 3 songs I like a lot, and they're all kind of the same tempo. It's Move On, Wouldn't You Like to Know Me, and It's All Right. And I decided to go with It's All Right. So if anybody voted for either of those others, I'm with you. It was hard to pick. Yeah, Aces was tough. Jeans, I just don't like. Picked Radioactive because it's the most pleasant to me, and that's the kind of sugar Papa likes. Anybody else have any closing statements? No, I think that's going to do it. Nick maybe does.
That the whole thing about the solo albums, I know everybody says it ruined the band and it was the beginning of the end, but I still think it's one of the coolest things ever that they each came out with a solo album, and it was still tied together under the KISS label, and the covers were all similar. It was a unified, though it was separate, kind of effort. I still think it's great, even though I don't love every song on every album. I don't even love every album.
It was a great, unique, exciting way to ruin the band, I guess. If the band was going to be ruined anyway, it's a hell of a way to do it. Like if they're going to splinter off from each other, it was a very exciting way to package that, right?
Indeed. I think that I think it's a brilliant, well, as for how successful they were at the time, it's a brilliant marketing ploy. I just think if you're a big fan, it's great. It's like, it's sort of, I think someone one time said it's like if the Beatles came out with, solo albums on the same day. It's like, well, a lot of people would be really, really happy because you get 4 new albums.
I'm sure at some point I read this, but I wonder if that was a situation where like Paul or Gene had theirs done. I don't even remember when they came out. I'm going to make it up. But let's say they came out in like September of 78. I could see like Paul or Gene having theirs done in like March and just being stuck waiting for Peter and Ace to finish theirs and being so mad. I don't know if that happened, but I could totally picture that.
It seems like, from what I remember reading and hearing, though, that it was kind of sort of, I never know how factual it is, but that it was kind of sort of Peter and Ace's thing where we want to go do solo albums. We don't want to, be held down by the you guys running the band and all that. So I wonder if that's the case. I wonder who had it together. I think, wasn't Peter like not hospitalized, but wasn't he unable to perform physically, like drumming and?
Yeah, he had something wrong with his arms, right? Didn't he get in a car accident and he couldn't play? I don't remember. I read his book, but I forgot. But yeah, he was physically unable to play the drums, so he was just singing.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
I could see that delaying a release, being physically unable to play.
Well, they're apparently going ahead with AC/DC getting together in the studio to start recording an album now, even though word on the street is Malcolm Young is in a really, really bad way.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but, I don't know. What do you do? What do you not do it if you had a plan to do it? Especially, I don't know him, obviously, but what if he says, no, go ahead and do it. We made the plan.
Comparing Malcolm Young to Peter Criss is ridiculous. That's all I will say.
All right, well, on that note, I guess we could sign off. But, yeah, let us know what you think, your favorite song from each solo album on Facebook. I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. We'll start a thread, and you could pipe up and let us know. Hope you enjoyed the bizarre, unique Indianapolis KISS Expo episode of Pot of Thunder. Next Monday, we'll be back to normal with a studio track done at Throat Donut Studio. So forgive us for the probably sometimes less than stellar audio quality from today. But, back to normal next week. Thanks for listening. For all the guys, goodbye. Goodbye. You have a tent in your pants. There's a little 8-year-old guy singing Beth.
Yeah.